All right. So it is the 10 minutes speaking. So let's start it. So what advice do you have for college graduates? Certainly, I do want you to apply a job at Solar City or Tesla or SpaceX. And if not, then if that doesn't work for whatever reason, then apply to job at other companies in that arena or just in a company. If you study engineering and you figure out how to design new things, then it's relatively easy to start a company. You just need to get a few like-minded people with you, or as I say, the base business is quite hard to start a company in space business because it's such capital intensive business. So many better to do something in solar power. You're gonna do it in cars. There is a kind of component supplier for cars or something like that. Most high class degrees in business and physics. But SpaceX is first venture into aerospace. How do you get this part to be chief technology officer of rocket ship company? Well, I do have a physics background. That's happy have fun as a foundation. And then I read a lot of books and talk a lot to a lot of smart people. Don't just follow change. That made have heard me say it's good thing to learn with physics approach of first principles, which is rather than reasoning by analogy. If you boil things down to the most fundamental truths you can imagine, you read it up from there. And this is a good way to figure out if something really makes sense or you just everybody else is doing. I also think that way. You can think that way about everything. It takes a lot of effort. But you're trying to do something new, it's the best way to think. As a framework has developed by physicists to figure out quantitative things like quantum mechanics, so it's really powerful method. And want to know what is the one thing that has surprised you about your life? Very simply, I'm surprised about the core things, honestly. I didn't really expect to be for any of these things to happen. Honestly, yeah, I know I wanted to be involved in technology. Um, and in fact, the only reason I started the company back in '95, internet company was because we did a few business internet companies and I couldn't get a job at any of them. Um, I took the job at Escape and I sent my resume to hang out in the lobby, but I was too shy to talk to anyone. And it was like, okay, well, I guess I have to start the company because I can't get the job anywhere. Thank you. I wouldn't say I'm fearless. In fact, I think I feel fear quite strongly. But if if recruiting isn't, if the doing is important enough, then it is overly feared. So it's not as thought I don't fear. I feel fear like more stronger than I look like. I think also people tend to overweight risk on personal level. First thing you're going to have to know amount that you pay in kit to support. As you were to deviate from your job, then how are you going to feed your family and pay the rent? Okay, that's understandable. Let's say you're young, just coming out of college or coming out of high school or whatever. What do you risk? You're not enough stuff. I mean, it's really certainly not in any kind of modern economy. It's so easy to earn enough money just to live somewhere and it needs food. I know what other people what they're afraid of. What they're most afraid of failure. I think must be less risk averse when there's not much at risk. What's the education like? You're basically downloading data and algorithm into your brain. And actually, amazingly, but in conventional education is like it's gonna be like this huge chocolate. The more you can gamify the process of learning, the better. I want to set up slides and send out quizzes because we're trying to figure out what does it all mean, what is the purpose of things. And I came to the conclusion that if we can advance the knowledge of a world, we can do things that span the scope and scale of consciousness. Then we're better able to ask the correct questions, become more interested, and that's really the only way forward. What drives you? What is it when you wake up in the morning to see the problem and you want to solve it? What surprised me is that I want to able to think about the future and feel good about that. So you know, we're going to the what we can to have the future be as good as possible. To be inspired by what is likely to happen. Um, and to look forward to the next day. Um, so that that really drives me. Is so you're trying to figure out how do we make sure that everything is great. I'm be so and that's the underlying principles behind Tesla and SpaceX. Is that I think it's pretty important that we accelerate the transition to sustainable generation and consumption of energy. It's inevitable, but it matters if it happens sooner or later. Mass is about having being make life multiplanetary and doing what we can to continue the dream of Apollo and ultimately make contribution to life becoming multiplanetary. Let's talk about more about that. I think one is interested that when you say making life multiplanetary. Yeah, that's exciting. It is exciting. So what your vision there? I think particularly for Americans, like you think about it, America is a nation of explorers who came from other parts of the world that choose to give up the norm in favor of unknown. So I think exploration like the United States is a preservation of human spirit of exploration. And so that's why it appeals to Americans so much. You know, you can see this when there's a total tragedy and 7 people died. And that's terrible, but a lot of people die all the time. But why do we care so much? Because it was the dream of exploration that were dying along with those people. That's why. I talk about was Texas and Spencer who failed at the beginning. You thought, yeah, sure. Really? Of course. But that's to put all your money in them. It's better to lose it. And well, technically, what I thought was, well, I'll take part of money from PayPal, and if we lose half of it, that's okay. Um, but then, of course, the companies encounter difficulties and have a choice of either let the company die, or put all the money into the company, or the money into the companies, and so if you don't want the companies to die, so put all the money in the companies. Yeah, and then I had to borrow money from friends to pay living expenses. Yes, you're just looking just for evidence of exceptional ability. And it's the track record of exceptional achievement. That's likely that will continue into the future. What it really depends on the stakes. The stakes are hard. If it's really important, then we should overcome the fear and just do it anyway. Um, Honestly, I just Otherwise, over fears, over the free, but if you become annoying, I wish I didn't. I wish I felt it less. I wish I felt it less. Right. So this is the end of this time speaking. So let's move to the 30 minute speaking and the 20 minute speaking French. Okay. See you later.